So, are you one of those people who falls in love a lot and easily? Did you know that there's a possibility that it wasn't really love after all? If not love, what could it be? Hello, and welcome to Life Divergent. That is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm Trina.
And I'm Jason.
Hi,
A
Jason.
a quick reminder before we get started, we are not doctors or licensed medical professionals. Please do not use this as substitute for professional medical advice. That being said, let's talk about limerence. So, what is limerence?
Well, limerence is a term coined by psychologist Dorothy Tenoff, I think that's how you say her name, in 1979. And it was coined to describe the involuntary, obsessive preoccupation with another person. I think we've all been there, or at least a lot of us have been. Most often, when people are talking about falling in love, they are talking about limerence without really realizing it. Limerence can include characteristics
Such as intrusive thoughts,
thank you.
which you're welcome. Intrusive thoughts, people use that term when talking about crazy stuff that might just pop into their mind that no human should think about, they think. But really, it's, in this instance, persistence, uncontrollable thinking about one specific person dominates your waking hours.
Right. And that can be coupled with emotional volatility. You can experience really extreme no, you can experience extreme emotional mood swings. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. You can experience mood swings that are tied to the smallest gesture or perceived signal from the other person.
Another characteristic, desperate longing, which is an overwhelming need for reciprocation that feels like a physical ache. I think
Uh,
many people have been there.
yeah, I know I
So,
have once or thrice or tenth. Anyway, so what is genuine love then? Genuine love is a deeper shared connection that is rooted in reality. Um, the love requires a mutual respect, commitment, and emotional presence. Yeah.
so what that means, you spoke about mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
Both people have to accept each other's flaws and communicate honestly without games,
Yeah.
except for
And
like
then
board
there's
games and video games and things like
oh,
that.
sorry. I don't really think that those are the games we're talking about, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So emotional stability is another thing that is included in genuine love, and that is when being together feels warm and calm and grounding rather than eliciting feelings of anxiety and volatility.
You'll also experience shared growth together. It's working together for the relationship, supporting each other, having your shared goals, experiencing individual growth as well.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Jason. Do you think that limerence is a one-sided thing?
So we know that not everybody experiences limerence.
Right.
So we can have that one person's feeling it, the other person doesn't.
Yeah.
That can be tricky if people aren't as familiar with it, or if one person's expecting basically their own feelings from the other person. One person's expecting the other to feel that limerence.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's expecting the limerent person. Limerent isn't really a word, I think.
All limerence stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other person's expecting the limerent person to not be that way. It can lead to some challenges, but I think it can be one-sided. I think it can be two-sided
Yeah.
or poly-sided, depending on the state you're in.
Poly-sided even. All
Sure.
right. So then I wonder, with that being said, especially if it's just like one person who's experiencing limerence and the other one isn't, um, if you get past the limerence to where there's love, from for the person who is experiencing the limerence, um, and a place where, you know, it could actually be love, if that's what you start to feel. For example, do you mistakenly think you're not in love now because you always mistook limerence for love? Like, is the honeymoon over, so to speak? You know, I think that, you know, limerence being really kind of dominant in your mind. And as we said, you know, you think about that person all the time. So yeah, it just really makes me wonder if once your limerence is done and you're experiencing love, if you realize you're experiencing love, if you thought the limerence was love all along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point because I've heard of people leaving the honeymoon phase. I've heard of people think they're falling out of love or it just doesn't feel the same anymore. But
Yeah.
I think honestly a good indicator, and this is a non-professional opinion, but a good indicator is once that honeymoon phase is over, do you still want to be around that person a lot? Are they the person you want to see at the end of the day and share experiences with? It may not feel the same, but the love is still there.
Yeah. Or it's finally there, or it's changed or mutated, or I don't know.
So I guess to answer the question directly, do you mistakenly think you're not in love because you mistook limerence for love? I think most likely if you feel that sort of way, you do because you hadn't built the feelings of being in love. That real connection isn't where it should be, I think, for relationships to develop at their finest, to get a 10 out of 10 relationship. So the limerence leaves and love's not really there. That's when you start feeling it. That's maybe that's not the best fit.
Right. So, I mean, so maybe limerence is the natural precursor to love, but maybe not everybody is able to transition. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that as we go through and explore the data, we'll maybe answer some of these questions. So let's go ahead and explore.
So limerence and love it comes down to brain chemistry, like basically everything we've been talking about in the last 20 episodes, including this one. So limerence has a lot of the neurochemicals that we know and love on the channel. It starts with a chemical known as phenylethylamine. That's one we haven't spoken about before. It floods the system, which triggers a massive release of dopamine and norepinephrine. That can cause intense CNS, central nervous system stimulation, elevated heart rate, high blood pressure, anxiety, brief surge, powerful surge in mood. Right? That's a lot. It's the same type of thing you'd experience in a runner's high. Now, here's where we have my digression rant. I used to run for a few years, up to 20 minutes a day, every day. I never experienced the runner's high. I hated it. I hated running. The last day that I ran a lot, I hated as much as the first day that I ran a lot. That never changed. I couldn't stand it, but I did it because I was trying to, build toward my health and wellness. I honestly believe that there are two types of people who hate running and liars. That's it. Running isn't, I can't stand it. There's no runners.
I think there are people who love running. And I've also heard that in order to feel that runner's high, you have to do it for more than like 20 minutes.
More than 20 minutes? Why would it?
I don't know. I don't run. Not on purpose. I only run if I'm being chased by something dangerous. So I really have no dog in this race.
So there's this episode of Parks and Rec where a doctor asks Ron Swanson if he has a history of mental illness in his family. And he says, I have an uncle who wakes up at 5 every day to go running.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, oh, the runner's high is after 20 minutes of running, I'm like, I never in my life want to run more than 20 minutes.
I never in my life want to run 20 minutes.
So that's my rant and has nothing to really do with this, but I had to say it. I told you in advance that I can't not say that when we talk.
That's okay. Derailed, but we're get back on the rail.
Yes.
Did you have anything else to say about limerence, Jason, before I tackle love?
Well, we talked about the release of the neurochemicals, and it keeps your focus on the one person who basically released those neurochemicals in the first place.
Yeah.
Sort of like a dependency. I mean, there's a healthy amount of codependency in relationships, sure.
I would say.
But, it can get to a point where it becomes a need and the obsession comes in and it can turn into a lot. But limerence is really just designed to start a bond, not necessarily sustain it.
Okay. So now we'll talk about love and the brain chemistry of love. So what happens with love is that there's vasopressin and oxytocin that are present, and those deepen bonding by activating reward centers, lowering stress, and encouraging trust and loyalty and attachment. There's also serotonin levels that stabilize over time, and serotonin helps to regulate mood, emotional stability, and kind of guides your social behavior. When you fall in love, the serotonin levels drop sharply, and this dip triggers the obsessive thoughts, intense focus, and infatuation, typical of early romance, while long-term stability, I can't talk, requires balanced serotonin to maintain calmness. So there's that initial dip, but once the serotonin starts to stabilize, it develops more into what we define as love. Another thing that happens with these changes in neurotransmission is that your emotional capacity broadens. And all of this to say that these changes are designed for long-term bonding.
Yes, I agree with everything you said.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
So let's look at how they compare side by side. What's the driver? Limerence, those feelings are driven by desire and obsession, whereas love is driven by commitment and intimacy. Communication is different as well. Limerence involves analyzing every interaction.
Yeah.
Everything that's said, everything that's not said. Whereas love doesn't require interpretation. It's open and honest dialogue.
So you're being more honest and upfront with your questions instead of just analyzing everything. You actually engage in, you communicate, as you said. Sorry. Excuse me while I just repeat what you just said.
Well, it's fine because it's open and honest dialogue, and it's trusting the other person. You don't have to wonder if there's some secret message or if, is this person falling out of love because they put a period at the end of the sentence or something like that,
Yeah.
That's gone because everything's fine.
Right.
And a big one for me, as far as the comparative perspective, is self-identity. When you're going through limerence, you have this strong feeling, this dependent, almost obsessive, it is obsessive, but almost addictive feeling. You don't want to lose that person. When you discover that there are qualities that they want that you don't have, you'll change to win their affection.
God, I hate when I do that.
I get that. I understand where you're coming from. But love is allowing yourself to be accepted as you are. You just get to be you. So changing to make the relationship work is horrible. It's not good for you. You lose sight of who you are, and it keeps you from letting the relationship naturally end. And you find yourself, I've been with this person for almost 10 years now, and I've been changing to be the person they want me to be. I don't know who I am, and I'm not really happy. And then there go your 30s.
That's a horrible thing. That happened with me when your father and I got divorced. We had been together for 10 years. And I didn't know who I was apart from him. Anyway, sorry about that. You said the 10 years and it triggered me.
I get that. 10 minutes with him is triggering.
All right. So, talking about the difference between limerence and love, let's discuss how it feels. So, limerence is really an intense, anxious, overwhelming, just cluster of just always wanting, to be with that person and know what that person's doing and smell that person. And anyway,
That was an interesting way to go with it.
whereas love is calm and warm and secure, like sitting in front of a fire on the couch, snuggled in a blankie with a nice cup of hot cocoa.
Yeah. It's a very secure feeling where you, it's nice and calming.
Yeah.
I just said exactly what you just said.
Yeah. So there is also focus, which we should kind of touch on, and the differences between limerence and love with focus. So with limerence, your focus is an idealized fantasy of the person. You don't really know the person yet because you've just met them or you've only known them for a brief period of time. So you have this idea of who they are and sometimes maybe even who they want you to think they are. Because as we kind of talked about, with limerence, you can change yourself and meld yourself to win the other person's affection. Well, it's true that the other person could be doing the same thing that you're doing. So you guys are kind of connecting to people who don't really exist in a manner of speaking. But in love, there is the reality of who the other person is, hopefully. You allow yourself to be seen, and hopefully the other person allows him or herself to be seen as well. Then there's duration. And I think this is a pretty significant part of this conversation. When you realize that limerence typically lasts months to approximately 2 years. Again, that's the typical span. But with love grows and deepens over time. So that's what you see sustaining people into long-term relationships.
So a very marked difference between the two. But let's look at specific signs that you might be in limerence.
All right.
Now, we are eventually going to be doing one of these on hot takes in the realm of psychology. So this section might be triggering for some people because you could feel these things and believe 100% that you're deeply in love and only that, but maybe not yet.
Maybe not.
Signs you might be in limerence. When a person occupies like almost all of your waking hours, that sort of mental hijacking, that's not what you see in deep, true, long-term love as much as you do in that initial, few months to 1 to 2 year phase of limerence.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the emotional yo-yo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that is? The emotional yo-yo?
I
Have you
do.
experienced the emotional yo-yo?
Yeah. When the other person's mood really determines your entire day, how you're going to feel, how you're going to act. You don't want to, if they're feeling low, for example, you're going to change the way that you are around them to not upset them or change the way that they're behaving, regardless of what's going on in your life or your world. This makes me think of the term walking on eggshells, you know that term?
I do. And I think most of the people who use that term have never actually walked on eggshells.
Well, I have, but it wasn't on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, you depend on the other person to determine how you feel. Did I get it right, Jason? Did I get it right?
That is true. And I want to reframe that if people aren't connecting with what we're saying on that topic.
Which wouldn't surprise me.
If you have a great day and then you clock out of work or whatever the situation is, you text the person you're in limerence with, ask them how things are going, and they respond with the word fine. You know, you might think, all right, cool, neutral day. You might think, you know, that's not great. Maybe had a bad day. Or the emotional yo-yo, if you think it's about you and then you stress about it for the rest of the day and you can't stop thinking about it, and your fantastic day at work is all of a sudden a bad day because of that. As we said, their mood determines your entire day.
Well, you know what that sounds like to me?
What's that?
Sounds like you're going into detective mode.
Let's hear about detective mode.
Yes, let's do.
Well, that is when you analyze every text as an example, or emoji, or response time. You know, being left on red is not a good feeling. The truth is, maybe they just didn't have time to respond. Maybe they glanced at it.
Yeah. Or you send them a very thoughtful message or text or whatever, and all you get back is one of these, a thumbs up.
Oh, God forbid.
So dismissive. I swear it does.
Awesome. Or
I hate getting those. I really do. But now I've been sending them lately myself.
Yeah. I've had to reframe it, like restructure my perspective. At work, I'll get the thumbs up all the time when I have to remind myself, nope, that's just one of the default emojis, because sending a heart can be weird, so just thumbs up. But
that's inappropriate in the workplace. Thank you very much. But
you don't want to be left on red, and you start to overthink that. You know, why didn't that person respond? Or if you're at dinner with your significant other and that person's being a little too nice to the server, it's like, oh, okay, what's going on there? Is there anything going on there? Well, of course, I mean, partner doesn't normally smile like that at a person that we're talking to just normally. Do they know each other? Are they banging it out in the back on break? What's going on?
Hitting up the bathroom while you're ordering.
That's the only thing. And if they go to the bathroom and it's normally a 2-minute process, but it takes like 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you're like, hey, what took so long? You know, and you start being the detective, and it gets a little, you know, limerency.
A little bit weird. All right. So, you know, something else that, I mean, this whole texting thing has made me think too, or even with the waiter scenario, where, you know, the waiter comes over and normally you're nice to wait staff anyway, but now you're going to be so sickly nice because you're trying to impress the person you're with. So you experience like an identity shift, so to speak, because you're changing who you are in a manner of speaking in hopes of winning the affection of the other person. So you might, you know, kind of get an idea from their text how they behave to determine how you respond. If you respond in kind, or if you allow yourself to be you and go crazy with the heart emojis, or if you don't send heart emojis, or not sending the thumbs up or sending it. Excuse me. So, you know, you're anticipating who they expect you to be, and you're trying to fit yourself into that mold rather than being who you are.
And more physical symptoms of limerence, you're going to feel racing heart. You'll have your sleep disrupted, generally restless, and experiencing anxiety. A lot of that comes from the things we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So
then you're going to be up in the middle of the night, pacing, wanting to text them, but not wanting to seem like a creep. I mean, wondering what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah. All that fun stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. A lot of examples, a lot of
Right.
Limerence can be broken up into 4 stages. Why don't you lead us into that?
You want me to lead us? Wow. Okay. So the first stage that we have is the crush. This is your initial attraction, and it sparks excitement. You start noticing everything about the other person, and you feel energized. I mean, I think that most people, when they experience something novel, even if it's, a new hobby or learning about history or whatever it is that, get your engine going. When you're meeting a new person and you're learning about them, that novelty can really get you going and get you energized and make you want more.
And do you know what that wanting of more is?
I do. Do you? Yeah, that's what it is.
Obsession, you're all in. Your thoughts become intrusive, all-consuming. Your idealization reaches its peak. You see this person as what you want them to be instead of what they are.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes your life.
Right.
Maybe you struggle during your morning meeting at work and you're just trying to keep checking your phone for that text or whatever the situation is. That's what you think about. You're in school and someone asks you a question and you weren't even paying attention because there's only one thing worth paying attention to in that obsession.
Yeah, when you're away from that person, like if you're at work or at school or whatever, you have one eye on what you're supposed to be doing and one eye on the door from the get-go, like all day long. You're just waiting for it to be time to go, watching the clock.
Tapping the desk, just...
Is this thing working? All right. Yes. So throughout the day or throughout days, this obsession can lead to elation and despair, and you can flip-flop back and forth between them because you're going to be having wild emotional swings. So there are small signs of attention that feel euphoric, but distance, on the other hand, feels catastrophic. You want to be with that person all the time. That's, again, all you can think about because you're obsessed. And you like the way it feels to be with them because, again, you're energized. You're getting that dopamine hit when you're with them. But again, when you can't be with them, you're bummed. And all you can think about is, well, when can I see this person again? Yeah.
Now, how does that end? Or does it end? The intensity, it might eventually fade. Maybe you move on, or the person moves on without you and you continue to think that you're in love. Or maybe the limerence fades and the love grows and takes over between the two of you.
Well, with that in mind, it begs the question, can limerence become love?
That is an interesting question. There are different perspectives on it. Okay. There are different perspectives on that. Mine specifically, the question, can limerence become love, is no. I believe they're two different things. What will happen is the limerence hooks you into the relationship and you test compatibility. You see if there are shared interests, see if you can build shared interests. And love will build based on that, based on your time together. And that's underlying. And then as the limerence fades, it's like, has love been growing? If so, and that works for both people, well, things can progress. If limerence fades and the love isn't really there, the connections aren't quite what you thought they were because you put the person on the pedestal, then you're left with saying, it just doesn't feel the same because the limerence is gone and there's not much left. Two different things.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's just my perspective, like I said. Yeah. There is an expert on relationships. There's a Dr. John Gottman. been doing this, studying this most of his life. He's, at the time of this recording, 84, has his own institute, has decades of experience and papers, and he researched love and put it in 3 phases, limerence being the first phase. So we've already covered that, falling in
Right.
love, the limerence.
Right. But then phase 2 is the building trust phase. So the fantasy that we discussed, the way that you see the other person, it starts to fade. And that's really when real intimacy begins. Once you've started to know the other person for who they really are. And partners, because you've come to this place, the partners learn to navigate conflict, build safety nets. And as it said, the title of this was trust.
Indeed. That is very close to and segues into the deep lasting love.
Mm-hmm.
That is phase 3 of building commitment and loyalty.
Right.
You have your, there are several ways you can really explain it. In a way, it's inexplicable, but it's part of having a deep commitment. It's everything that we just described. It's love at its fullest and completest. Completest?
Yeah.
That's not a word.
Completest.
Okay. Well, we talked about my perspective on limerence and love. We got Dr. John Gottman's perspective. What about yours? Do you think that you can, is limerence and love the same? Does one go away, the other pick up? How does that look for you? See, the way I'm saying it right now, it kind of makes me think I'm asking the audience, but I'm asking you to talk about it.
What?
I felt like the tone that I was using when I was going through that made it seem like I was asking the audience, like that's how I might normally do that.
I thought you were asking me.
I was, but I just got this
Excellent.
thing in my head. It's like, so what are your thoughts? Chat.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
But do that anyway, but I'm going to answer now.
Please do.
Okay.
Let me stop
So
talking.
I when we first started talking about this, I was like, oh my gosh, have I ever been in love? Really? Because, I've always described falling in love as what I now describe as limerence. I didn't realize that people didn't experience the beginning of a relationship in the same way that I did until this was like, 50 to 60% of people experience this. And I'm like, what? I thought it was everyone. But anyway, so yeah, I feel like the beginning of all my relationships have very much been limerence-ish for me. I try too hard. I do too much. I do too little. I really kind of morph myself into who I think that person wants me to be. And that's really kind of sad because, as I did touch on for a little bit, I feel like in my relationship with your father, but as I've said, with everyone, but in my relationship with your father, I do feel like I really went out of my way to be who he needed me to be, or who I thought he needed me to be. And then I do believe that I really did end up, loving your father. God only knows why. But anyway, but at the end of the day, it didn't work out, but we were together for 10 years. But, just when I look back, it's like there were people who I did experience limerence with, or toward, I guess I should say, not with, where in the relationships didn't really go anywhere. It's because I was the one who was invested and they weren't. But I was, shooting my shot, playa, to try to, again, make a relationship out of nothing, so to speak. And I now know, that's kind of how a lot of relationships start. But again, I didn't I didn't know there was such a thing as limerence, you know? So this has been like really eye-opening for me. Did I answer your question?
No.
What was the question?
The question was, do you think limerence can become love? Are they the same thing?
Yes, I do. I also think it can not become love.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? God.
Yes.
All right. So
Were you expecting me to say yes, and that would be the end of it?
I didn't know what you were going to say because I couldn't remember what the question was. So
I never know what I'm going to say.
Oh my gosh. All right. So let's talk about some of the key takeaways of this episode, unless you had anything else to add to that.
No, I think I just need to stop.
All right. Great.
Okay.
So
Key takeaway.
I'm going to take it away now. All right.
You are?
So first, no, you are.
Okay. Well, what we did cover about limerence earlier on was it's really a neurochemical state.
Right.
And something I discovered was in a 2025 study, 50 to 60% of people experience it.
That's crazy. I thought everyone did, as I've already said, but that's crazy.
You know what's interesting is I said that I wanted this to be a key takeaway, but we never actually mentioned that study at all so far.
That's okay. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just know that there was a study in 2025 done. That's all you need to know. You could look it up. Get your little Google fingers out. Anyway, sorry. All right.
Little Google fingers?
Your little Google fingers.
Okay.
All right. So, another takeaway is that if your happiness depends entirely on one person's attention to you, that's limerence, not love. You should be able to derive happiness from many areas of life. It should not be dependent on that other person. You should have your own happiness apart from that person.
Agreed. Now, that's not to say that you won't want that other person to be part of your happiness, but if normally amazing things in your life give you no feelings of anything anymore because it's only that person that matters, well, you know. Anyway, so another takeaway.
Yeah.
Love grows in clarity, in reality, in truth, honesty, openness. Limerence it's a fantasy, it's uncertainty. You're living in a dream world.
Wondering if they're banging it out in the bathroom. Oh, sorry.
Or anywhere. Could be the moment you look the other way. Who knows? You always have to keep your eyes on them.
You do. All right. Another key takeaway, which I think is so important, and again, I really learned something here, is that limerence can give way to love, but only when the obsession dissolves first. So I guess kind of what they're saying is you can't be in love if you're obsessed.
Fair.
Unless I'm just changing that to mean what I want it to mean, but the way I am and the way that I read things, that's what it says. But basically, the important thing here is limerence can give way to love, but limerence does not become love. You have to get rid of the limerence to be able to love. Yeah.
Knowing the difference between the two is a critical step to healthier, more fulfilling relationships. And now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
The more you know. Cue the rainbow and the star. Okay.
References.
Anyway, that is it for us today. I hope you'll join us next time when we'll be talking about the perceived rudeness of neurodivergent people. All right. Until then, be well. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.